Before we became founders, we were women first.
Show up as you are, not as what people want you to be. We actually lost a 15-year-old friend through suicide. I just had this real sense of wanting to be understood. You can have a manager that can destroy your life, or you can have a manager that will empower you. I've just had this natural ability to be able to listen properly. Some friends that I had just weren't cutting the mustard at listening to me in reverse. There was a point where I was suicidal, and it was actually at the time where I went through everything at work. I think I just had this real sense of overwhelmed that I want everyone to live or not be in that dark space. I've had so much loss in life that I just want someone to call mine. In July, I was meant to have a baby. I just want this baby. I don't want another baby. Anchor of life is my little pride and joy. God gave me the gift of encouragement. I want to attract the women that are empathetic, are lovers, are warm, and just want to grow, want to heal.
Welcome to season 2 of the Woman Up podcast, a place where female founders find sisterhood, success, and the real conversations that we actually want to have. The podcast is dedicated to our community, and it's a space where we navigate life, business, and all the messiness in between. If you're wondering how you can be a part of the community, just stay tuned because I'm going to let you know all about that later on in the episode. But for some of you OGs who have been here since season 1, you're probably wondering what's happening, why has she changed the intro? And it's basically because the Woman Up brand is evolving, and ultimately the podcast is evolving along with us. So we are a community of women that are building brands and businesses together. But what I realized is that before we became founders and entrepreneurs and CEOs, or whatever you want to call yourselves, we were women first. And that's what this space is about. It's about connecting with the women behind the brands, sharing their personal stories, their journeys, and how real life has actually shaped them. So this isn't just another Women in Business podcast where we talk all about strategies and social media marketing, funnels, or any of that juicy stuff. There is space for that in the community, but this really is a space for us to go deeper than that and connect with each other beyond the hustle. So on that note, I want to introduce you guys to my first guest of season 2. But before I do, I want to just say 2 things. One, I'm really honored and grateful to have her on. I'm glad she's episode 1 actually, because it's a really important episode. We connected, I think, about a year ago, and obviously I follow her on Instagram. I've been following her, but I've also got to know her on a deeper level. And she has just shown so much strength and resilience and has gone through so much in her life that I honestly don't even know if I would handle these kind of situations in the same way she has, but she's always just super inspirational and I can't wait for you guys to meet her. The second thing is a bit of a trigger warning. This episode is going to touch on topics that are really sensitive. You might feel uncomfortable at times, but I just want you guys to know that if there's anything in this episode that you need support with, that you're relating to right now, please feel free to reach out to me or my guest. Don't go through any of these things alone. Please also feel free to pause the episode, take breaks. You don't have to listen to it all in one go. And please give us feedback as well. These topics are really important for women and I can't wait to discuss them with you guys. So without further ado, please welcome Emily Pompei. How are you?
I just feel honoured. I'm so honoured to be here in a new space and just have a girly chat.
Yeah. It's such a interesting one for me because obviously I'm rebranding to support female founders and women in business. Mm-hmm. But there's still so many conversations that I want to be having that have nothing to do with business. Yeah. And so many of us don't want to have conversations all day, every day about social media or about how to grow, how to scale, all these things. I know they're important, but there's so many other things that make us who we are, especially as women. Yeah.
100%.
And so I kind of feel like I've thrown our audience in the deep end today because obviously everything that I've read about you and everything that we've spoken about is really deep. And I know that there are going to be women out there who can really relate to all the stuff that we've spoken about before. Mm-hmm. So I kind of want to go back and start at the beginning.
Sure thing.
Just tell us quickly, in 1 or 2 sentences, your name and what you do. Mm-hmm. And then we'll go from there.
Okay. So I'm Emily. I'm Italian, half English, half Italian. I'm a lettings manager in the corporate space of a estate agency, but absolutely love mental health and inspiring women to be okay with not being okay.
I love that.
Yeah, so that's the main motto in my life, is just, it's okay. And show up as you are, not as what people want you to be.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go back. Let's go way back. So you obviously sent me like your story, which I read. It was long, but it was just so interesting, because obviously when you follow someone on Instagram, like there's so much that you don't know.
100%, yeah.
So you said you're from Italy.
Yeah.
Whereabouts actually? Because
so it's a little place called Abruzzo, which is opposite Rome.
Okay.
Near the sea and the mountains. So I've got literally the best of both worlds. But that's where I grew up, yeah.
That's amazing.
So I was born there.
Okay, so you grew up there and then you left when you were 6, right?
Yeah, 6 years old, and then came to England.
Yeah.
Fresh.
Yeah. So talk us through like what happened there, because I know your family was like separated as well. What happened? Like, why did you come over here, and just what was that like story like?
Yeah. So obviously born in Italy. In Italy, they go to school a year later. So I hadn't actually got to the point where I needed to go to school yet. My mum spoke to us in English, but I spoke to me and my brother and all my family in Italian. So my first language was Italian. And so I went to nursery, I guess. I couldn't read or write Italian because I was so young. Loved life, did little dance classes on the beach.
I love that.
It was just a real cultural... When I moved over to England, the cultural shift was crazy. English people have like a set bedtime, and it was just very free in Italy. You could go to bed at 11 p.m. and still eating an ice cream at midnight. So yeah, the cultural shock was a lot for me to deal with when I came over. My parents sadly split up and divorced when I was 6. So my brother stayed in Italy with my dad, and I came over to England with my mum. So it's literally a split. My English family are here, Italian family there. Came over to England and started straight away in year 2. So not speaking English.
And you didn't speak English? Wow.
No, I had a very strong accent, an Italian accent. So I was like the newbie in the class, and I just had this real sense of wanting to be understood, because obviously if you've got a language barrier, it's crazy when you are a little girl and you've moved country and it wasn't your choice. And yeah, it was a lot actually. I was quite an anxious child, but I always had this feeling of wanting to help. My mum was quite sad in the divorce, so I always had to help her through it. But I was just always like picking up people's emotions, and I think that's why I'm now a deep person, because it was installed in me from way back. I'm proud of my journey, to be fair. I'm so proud of it. From that little Emily that's now using that to fill her purpose is quite a big thing.
I think so too.
Yeah, 100%.
We'll get to that as well, but how was your relationship with your dad then, if he was still in Italy?
Yeah, my dad is an emotional guy too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he, mum and dad are actually, so that's why I cry at everything. But my dad is very passionate, just a guy that loves to show off his country, loves to show off his family, feed you up. So yeah, my dad's a really loving guy. I was always his little girl. We had obviously quite a few turmoil points of mum and dad arguing, and me and my brother having to witness that.
Yeah.
So childhood wasn't always like the picture I'm painting it. Being in another country, again, my mum had cultural differences with the family, so she was very... Italians are just argumentative and very aggressive sometimes verbally, and so that shift as a young girl to try and navigate that was quite difficult as well. But my dad's a little soul, life and soul of my life as well, to be fair.
Oh, that sounds cute.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about your journey like through school and then like teenage years, because I know like there's some really important things that happened in your teenage years as well.
So primary school was just full of me being in the bottom sets for everything. Again, when you speak two different languages, your learning development is very delayed. So academically, I'm pants. But creative wise, dancing, singing was just my everything. And it was just the way that, again, it stems back to wanting to be understood. I could tell a story through my creativity.
Yeah.
So school was tough in the sense of you get channeled into reading and writing, obviously. But it was just tough because I made loads and loads of friends because I was warm and friendly, but I just felt always never good enough because I was not meeting the expectations of SATs and exams and stuff like that. So that was tough, but I never really got bullied at school. I sailed through.
Yeah.
I know, unfortunately, some people do get bullied, but that never happened, luckily. Moving on to secondary school, again, GCSEs were really, really tough. We actually lost a 15-year-old friend through suicide, and she took her own life so young. So as a year group, we just went through hell, actually. At 15 years old, to try and process such big emotions. And I think that's when my anxiety started. I had my first panic attack at the funeral. So it was just a real, I guess, all my triggers and all my history from the past of moving countries and whatever, I think just channeled into that moment of just, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed with emotion. What do I do with it? So, you know, we tried to navigate that as best as we could as a school with counsellors and everything. But then the next year after that, we had another death in the year group, which was a lovely girl who unfortunately had a heart attack. Again, just literally a year after we'd lost the first girl. So we just felt like, what on earth is going on with our year group? Like, it's just cursed. We literally all just couldn't believe
a heart
that
attack
it was
isn't even like, it's not common, is it, for a teenager?
She was in her bedroom, mum found her. So yeah, it was just horrific, absolutely horrific. Not to say that I was very close to these girls in terms of like best friends or anything, but it was still a shock to everybody involved. And then unfortunately, again, I think it was 2 years after that, we lost another girl who was killed by her partner.
And how old was she? Like 17 or something?
She was 18, I believe. Wow. 17 or 18. Yeah. And we were in sixth form by this point. So, and some girls that we'd gone and grieved with had gone to other schools. So at this point, we'd lost a couple of people along the way. So we were just trying to navigate everything through, just trying to keep that community unity together, I guess. So yeah, it was a lot to go through at such a young age, and I don't think anyone at whatever age it is shouldn't have to go through that much grief, but it did, and it's now part of my story, and I now understand grief so much.
In terms of I know you touched on like academically you didn't feel like that was your strong suit. Was that, do you think, a language barrier, or at one point were you just like, I can't be bothered with this anymore? No,
I was actually the opposite. I always tried so hard and never achieved what I wanted. It like the balance of working so hard and not actually getting anything out of it. I mean, I think I got like 4 GCSEs, which is okay, I guess. I got an A star in Italian, but nothing else. I just tried and tried and tried to be the best. I just couldn't get there. Basically. It wasn't that I wasn't trying, it was actually the opposite. I overkilled studying and stuff like that.
Were you encouraged with like the creative side, or was it just like...
My mum came to every single dance show.
I love that.
Because I did BTEC dance and GCSE dance as well, and I was every free period I was in the dance studio.
Yeah.
That was my life. So even like the way that I wanted to help people. As a little girl, I wanted to teach disabled children how to dance. So even from then, it was like that was rooted in me, the helping of, and just trying to channel that with dance.
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved every single second of it.
Yeah. Obviously, I've seen some of your Instagram posts. So, yeah, you can see that, like, you're in your element when you're dancing.
Literally my passion. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so you've done your GCSEs and you've gone through quite a bit of grief and loss at this point. What happens after that? Like, you started working straight after school, right?
Yeah. So again, because I wasn't academic, I thought there's no way I'm going to uni. I could not stand another 3 years of studying. I would have gone to uni to do dance actually, but I thought, well, I don't think I could make a career out of it, monetary wise. So I just wanted to earn money at this point. I thought, well, I see my mum working so hard and she inspired me to do my best at everything, no matter how much money you get paid. It's just about how much you try in life. And yeah, so I went into, my cousin was an estate agent, and I went in as a junior negotiator, and just worked my way up throughout the years. It's now I think it's like my 9th year or 10th year in estate agency now.
Wow.
And I wanted to feel, obviously I started waitressing first, but I just wanted to feel like important. I wanted to like put on my pencil skirts and my high heels and trot around.
Yeah.
I wanted an office job, but I loved meeting new people. So I thought, okay, well, best of both worlds. I'm out most of the day on viewings and stuff. And yeah, it just fitted me. My family were very nervous actually.
Oh, why?
Because I'm so soft. I'm like a soft girl, and I'm nurturing, and so they were just nervous about, me dealing with like cutthroatness and it's cutthroatness. I don't even know if that's a word. Targets and sales. And yeah, but I did really well because people bought into me, and I think in sales you buy from people. So I actually did quite well with that, and that's why I think I've gone up the ranks quite soon. One, because of my work ethic, and two, just purely because of my nature, I guess, and how I am able to speak to people.
I think like openly. You're really approachable as well.
Yeah, that's most people say that actually. Yeah, and I would hate to not be. I think we've all had experiences where we have gone in the room and thought, oh no, like there's no way that I'd want to speak to you or whatever. And I would hate that trait in me. So I'm very proud of that. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So how did you feel like by this point, like when you were working, like, did you feel like you turned a corner and you were satisfied, or like?
Again, actually, I started and I felt, my whole life I've carried this not good enough feeling inside me, and just the comparison of others. And I'm really trying to work hard on that because it really does like stunt your growth. But I took ages to learn the system, and I took ages to learn the processes, and I had to ask a lot of questions at the beginning, as you do in a normal job, right? But I just felt really stupid to keep asking questions all the time. And it brought up a lot of just unworthiness of being in a space where I could grow. But then once I practiced enough, and I just was flying. So I got promoted, I think, pretty much about a year and a half, or every year and a half I got a promotion or a pay rise. It felt like a really long journey. And I don't know if you're going to be coming on to this because you've read my story, but there was points in my career where it wasn't all rainbows and flowers. Being in a sales environment is mostly full of men, and the men I came across were unempathetic, quite logical, cutthroat, and we had a laugh, but I had to really learn about a different type of man that I wasn't used to because my dad wasn't that way. So yeah, I really struggled with that. I'm like the most empathetic person. I feel other people's emotions, even like if they're down, I'm down. Like I absorb everything. So I did go through a stage where there was grievances and everything like that. And it changed my life actually to know how the workplace should handle situations firstly, because I wasn't dealt with correctly. And I got moved offices, and at this point I wasn't a manager yet. But I'm a big believer in God, and I just feel that I was moved offices for a reason. And then I became manager about 4 months later.
Yeah.
So everything has its purpose and everything has its reason. And I had to be bullied at work to be able to flourish. And I'm actually very grateful for that.
Was that a manager that you said was bullying you?
Yes.
Or
Yeah. Just every day, just dreading going in. He was very narcissistic, gaslighting. And I know we use that word quite loosely.
Yeah.
So I'm always conscious that, that word gets thrown around, but I can guarantee you that's what was happening. And yeah, it just led to a lot of upheaval that wasn't needed in the workspace. He had a lot of absences and I carried the office. So I was technically manager, but just not
By title.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of pressure. It's now made me be a better manager because I now know what I shouldn't be and what I should be. And I'm now a manager where I always encourage conversations. I always open the floor up in one-to-ones. How are you feeling? What do you want to do better? How can we grow together? Okay, you don't feel confident in that. Okay, how can we move forward? I've really had to learn to be harsh. I'm not a manager where, you can have a manager that can destroy your life, or you can have a manager that will empower you.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just now know what I would want in a situation, and it's made me a better person for it. So thank you. I'm not going to say his name, but thank you so much. But yeah, I've come out the other side, and I'm so grateful to have gone through that.
Yeah, I love the way you frame it as well, that you're just like, this has made me, shaped me into a better manager as well. So I love that.
Yeah, I think you can only see that once you've gone through something.
Yeah, of course.
Obviously I didn't think that when I was going
time,
through it.
Yeah.
I love going through it.
No, of course.
But yeah, I had to take time off for stress, and you spend more time at work than you do at home. So you have to be happy with what you do.
Yeah, it's true.
Hey ladies, quick pause. I hope you're enjoying the episode so far. As mentioned earlier, if you want to be part of our community and be the first to know when we launch, connect with us on Instagram or join the email list. Both links are in the description. We're going to have monthly guest speakers, live check-ins, accountability group, and even some in-person meetups happening throughout the year. And I personally can't wait. I know this business journey can feel lonely at times, but you don't have to do it alone. Connect with us and join the movement. Now, let's get back to the episode.
Okay, and then you also started volunteering
Yes.
for the Samaritans, right?
Yeah.
Why did that happen? What sparked that in you?
I guess losing the girls at school, and again my need to help people. I've always been in my friendship groups. I've always been the one that people come to with their issues, like the mum of the group, I guess. So I've just had this natural ability to be able to listen properly. I think that's really an important skill. But I did find that some friends that I had just weren't cutting the mustard at listening to me in reverse.
Yeah.
So I guess the Samaritans, one, they train you how to listen and how to not advise when no one's asked for it.
Yeah.
They tell you how to hold space properly. And when you've learned and you've gone through that training process, it's actually incredible how you pick up on how other people communicate. So again, that's changed my life, because even in my friendship, my family, you are able to hold space properly. There's all types of listening. There's reflective, and there's so much that you can learn from that. But there's been some horrific stories that I've heard, and again, I'm proud of being able to be present for people that don't want to be here anymore. And it's okay, not every call is suicidal thoughts or suicidal plans, but it may be cases of differences in their lives or arguments they've had or relationship issues or abuse. So there's a lot of things that come through on the phone lines that just takes you back. It's like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that someone can go through all of that and still be here. So yeah, it's a lot, but I wouldn't change it for the world, because that person doesn't have anyone else that listens. So it's an incredible journey that I've been on through that.
Yeah, I think most people know what the Samaritans is, but I don't want to assume. So for anyone who doesn't know, like, what is that service?
Yeah, so Samaritans is a suicidal helpline, technically, that people are able to call 116 123 on their phones for free. And it's a free 24/7 service that a volunteer will be on the other end of the phone anywhere in the UK, different branches, and you can speak about anything. I mean, people talk to me about their neighbours and they're pissed off at their neighbours. So yeah, it's anything you're having problems with mental health wise, but also we talk a lot about suicidal thoughts and plans and people ending their life or wanting to end their life.
Earlier you said that you're a really emotional person and you're very empathetic.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like, what's the word? Like it's weighing on you to like hold space for people that are going through obviously something really difficult?
It did actually.
At the beginning? Okay.
Yeah. So I've done it for 3 years now, but at the beginning you think, I can't believe someone can go through like hundreds of things. They're so unlucky, it feels. But I think it sounds awful, but you get, I guess, acclimatized to people that are going through just awful situations. I guess the more practice you have and the more training you have, the more you can just think, well, I don't actually know this person. I can only help here and now, and I won't know what happens to them next week or how they're going to be dealing with what I've helped them with. So I guess we just have to know that and just hold yourself with grace and think, okay, well, I'm helping them right now and that's all that I am able to do until they call back again, maybe. But it took a lot of getting used to, because it's just a lot to hear. But it does make you appreciate your own life sometimes, to think that I am not in that position. But yeah, what an amazing charity. I can't fault them at all. An amazing charity.
So when you first sign up as a volunteer, they give you training. Like how does the process work?
So you go for an interview, and I guess they just want to see how you interact. Mine was was it through COVID? No, I think it was just after COVID actually, but it was still online training for 6 weeks, I believe. It feels so far away now. For 6 weeks, and it's all online. You go into like breakout rooms and just training how to. They do lots of role play. So just training how you would use all the different techniques of listening, reflecting, noises of like, or okay, or sure. So all of those processes have to be put into place in a call. And then you have a mentor. So you start basically going to the call centre, and there's only about 3 or 4 of you at the same time, get given your little headphones, and you have a mentor for a long period of time listening in, and then we listen into them. And then gradually you start to hear roughly the same kind of issues, and we speak to a lot of prisoners. It's a free line for them to call through the prison cells. And then it's called You Lose Your P. So you lose your mentor basically.
Okay.
And then you go on and do calls yourself.
Yeah.
We do listen in like every 6 months anyway, to check that you're still okay and nothing's bothering you and that you're doing everything correctly. But every volunteer is different. So, a person may call in and be more attracted to speaking to a woman or a man. So there's just so many different volunteers, which is beautiful, because it's you get a different vibe every time, I guess.
Yeah. And then you volunteer, like, is it certain hours a week or like a day? Like, how does it
Yeah,
work?
so you volunteer for 4 hours in a week. So that's technically one shift a week. We have a night duty as well, which is like 11 p.m. till 5 a.m. That's every 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks.
Do you have people that call you or like request you?
No, so the calls get diverted to anyone in the UK.
Okay.
So and that's actually the beauty of it, is because every person would bring a different element or a different listening skill. So no, they wouldn't be able to. But it's really difficult actually, because you think, oh, I've spoken to so and so, and then you don't know what's actually happened, or like how they are,
know,
or
like what happens to them.
No.
Oh my gosh.
No, but that's actually sometimes better for the volunteer to be able to cope with that. Or sometimes it goes the other way and it's like, oh my gosh, I really want to know how they are.
Because I would be so worried and I would just be like, oh my God, I hope they're okay. Like,
yeah. But the training we get is to then try and flip. So we go dive all the way down, talk about suicide where it's not taboo, do you have a plan, everything like that. And then try and get them out of that lull at the bottom. And that's called the stepped approach. You're going down the steps and then back up.
But do you ever, like, I imagine that your role is to always intervene, or do you ever just have to accept that that's what they're going to do?
Yeah, so unfortunately, it will be a lot quicker for them to call the ambulance themselves. So, and obviously not, some people call in and are having suicidal thoughts, but may not act. So may not have a plan, may not know when that plan will be carried out. So we can't call the ambulance for every person that's feeling like that. There's just no way that we could do that. So our duty is to obviously be on the side of life, but we can't and aren't trained to go, no, please don't do that, or no, so we can't stop it. Because the whole point is that their family probably do that. Like, please don't. Actually, what they want is just for someone to understand that we're talking about suicide and that it's okay to. If they want to call the ambulance themselves, then, there's definitely cases that you're more worried than others. But I think the more you listen in, the more you can gauge what's actually happening and their thought processes. Yeah, there's a lot of stories that may never lead to that, but if it does lead to that, then we've tried our best to hold space, listen, and just validate how they're feeling. There's a lot of people that want to try and fix everything, or we're not allowed to give advice, we're just a listening service. So there's lots of people going, what would you do? I'm not allowed to say anything, it's not about me, right? So we're never allowed to self-disclose about ourselves, obviously, but it's just incredible to hear what people go through. Very eye-opening, to say the least.
Do you think that the reason you signed up with the Samaritans was because of the friend that you'd lost through suicide as well?
No, I think that was part of it.
Because there's lots of like volunteering helplines and stuff. Like, why specifically that?
I've gone through the thoughts myself, I would say, and there's been points in my life where I thought, what's the point of life? Like, what actually is life? And there was a point where I was suicidal, and it was actually at the time where I went through everything at work and just think, look, I'm trying my hardest. Life is lifing right now. And I think I just had this real sense of overwhelmed that I want everyone to live or not be in that dark space. And I just had this calling of wanting to just support people that are at their lowest. I really love going deeper with people. That's how I connect. That's how I bond and build relationships. I love talking about the deep stuff. People are like, no, don't talk to me about deep stuff. I'm like, it's normal. Let's go. Let's go there.
Yeah. I think there's such a shame around it as well. Because like, I've obviously never had like thoughts where I was making a plan of anything like that. However, a couple of years ago, I was in a space where I was really down, but I didn't talk to anyone about it. And I was having thoughts like, if I left this earth, like, I don't think it would matter, and like I don't think it would be important. And that's like really difficult. So, but I feel like there's this shame because I was like, I don't like I wouldn't want to tell anyone that because I'm not in like a poor situation. Like I have my health, I have family, I have an income, I have so many things. Like how dare I have these like thoughts? So I think there is that shame around it.
And there's a lot of people that are like that. That are, but I've got everything I want. My life is okay. I haven't gone through anything dramatic. But why am I feeling like that? And it's actually very confusing for some people because they just think, well, I've never had these thoughts before. What's actually happening? And it all comes up and it just gets to there and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't actually know how to cope with that. And I think if you then squash it and suppress everything and you don't talk about it, it's not normalized. And of course we can't keep going over, suicide all the time within like normal spaces in a coffee shop or, there's a space and there's a time to do that. Time and a place, But I completely understand where you're coming from, and that's exactly the place that I was at. I had no plan, and I wouldn't do anything.
Same.
But it's that feeling of I'm so in despair that I don't actually know what to do with my feelings.
Exactly.
Just an overwhelm.
You're making me want to like have a look at the application process now.
You'd be amazing. You really would. You so
I get that,
would.
Like with the podcast as well, because when I first launched, I was really nervous about it. But everyone that I've had on, like the majority of people are like, you are really good at holding space. And I'm always like, I'm just listening. Like,
but do you know how many people don't have that skill set?
Yeah.
Have you ever spoken to anyone you just feel like worse than when you first?
Yes, 100%.
When you first started speaking to them, and it's like, I didn't ask for your advice. I didn't ask for your opinion. Anything like that is just, there's a difference. How to do it professionally, obviously with your work, and how you do it. And I guess if you always want the best for your friends and your family, so you then start projecting onto them. But every person has their own story. So their opinion doesn't matter actually, because it's your feelings and you're trying to process your own things. You'd be amazing. Please do it.
I'm going to look into it now.
I'm going to check in on you next week. Have you done your application?
You're going to be my mentor. And like, you know what? I just get really nervous. Like if I had someone listening in on the conversation, I think I'd be more nervous than like if I didn't. But I guess you have to go through that training.
You have to.
You don't want to say the wrong thing, I guess.
It's actually, when I went through my mentoring, I actually preferred it when she was listening, because she could write down something quickly to say, or there's just, it's all part of the process, I guess. But I definitely want you to start thinking about it.
You're adding stuff to my to-do list now. No, but it does sound really interesting. What was I going to say about that? I also just think like you never know what people are going through.
Exactly.
And it's nice to like be able to listen when
100%.
Yeah, like you said, like I think I don't really talk to that many people because I don't want people's advice.
Yeah.
And I've been like in relationships as well where it's just like, oh, you should do X, Y, Z, or you shouldn't cry and you shouldn't express this emotion. And it's like, well, innately I feel like I have to, otherwise I will make myself sick. So I would love to have someone to listen to me as well, but
and I've actually felt so lonely coming off of that. You feel really lonely when someone doesn't hold space for you in the way that you would hold space for them.
It is really nice.
Because you think, how do you not have a skill set like me? And you then end up resenting people, which is really ugly actually, because everyone has their own skills in different ways, but you just feel like either people turn it round on themselves, and then it's squashed your thing that you were bringing up. You think, okay, great, that's the conversation gone. So it is very eye-opening when you go through that training. Okay, yes, you've developed ourselves like in the training, but then I just want a friend like me. Do you know what I mean? You'll learn through that stage, I guess, and just have to be okay with being by yourself or nurturing you.
Yeah.
Which is very different to someone else doing it with you.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
Just a quick reminder, guys, while you're here, if you have a podcast or a podcast idea brewing in that little brain of yours, I would love to support you. I currently have a mini course that helps you tackle the top 3 things that I hear that stops people from launching their podcast. I've also got other resources to help you launch or grow with ease. No more stressing over editing or strategy. I've got you. Just connect with me on Instagram and let's chat about how we can bring your podcast to life. It is time to stop procrastinating on this one. Okay, let's get back to the episode.
Okay, let's touch on something else that's happened to you recently.
Yes.
This is obviously, I mean, we've talked about suicide, but I just feel like this whole theme around like your story is around loss, and it makes me really sad. So I don't know how many months ago it was, but you had a miscarriage, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about that journey.
Yeah. So me and my partner were, I would say, trying for about 3 years, and just came a point where every period I had was like, oh, I'm not pregnant. I'm not pregnant. I'm not pregnant. And my whole purpose in life is to be a mum. So it hurt even more because that was just my whole goal. And I think because I'm so nurturing, I've always wanted something to be called. I guess actually, if you could put it this way, is I've had so much loss in life that I just want someone to call mine. Does that make sense? Like to have that. Children never leave you because you're their mum. So I want something to be able to have.
Yeah.
So I think if you look at the trauma side of it, that's probably why I want children so much, is to just nurture myself. So October came and I had a very, very late period. Like I didn't come on my period. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to take a pregnancy test. So I did. And on the 29th of October, I was sitting in the bathroom. The line came up straight away. And I just couldn't believe, I actually didn't know how to feel.
Yeah.
Like you've waited so long for something. And then all of a sudden this bit of plastic tells you that you're pregnant. So I put it on the side. I didn't tell my partner. I was like, I'm just going to wait for the next day. and then I waited for the next day and I bought him like a little box with, like, it was Christmas, coming up to Christmas. So, no, sorry, it was the 29th of November, not October. Anyway, so I had a little tree decoration saying daddy to be, and a little baby grow saying baby on its way, whatever. So just had a real sense of joy. I didn't really feel pregnant, actually. I didn't get the sickness at all. Had very, very, very tired and headaches and stuff like that. And I literally went off mushrooms, just completely went off
really?
food. Yeah.
Okay.
But I didn't really have like this full-blown pregnant feeling. Anyway, so we told our mums and my nan, came to mid-December, just before Christmas, and I started spotting. And I was very stressed at that point, actually. I was very anxious about my pregnancy because I wanted it so much. And also it had taken so long to get there.
Happen, yeah.
So I started spotting, went to A&E, and I was distraught. I was crying in the A&E room, just knowing that maybe I've lost the baby. They did checks on me and they did a little scan, heard the heartbeat, everything was fine. My womb was closed, no like signs of early miscarriage at all. Went about my days, like weeks and weeks. Had Christmas, had a real bad stinking cold, but was healthy otherwise, eating and stuff like that. Then came to the 30th of December, and they did another internal scan, just to check why I'd had the bleeding and if everything was okay. It's literally the best day of my life. I saw the baby moving, and the heartbeat was like a little flicker on the screen, and the person doing the scan was just so happy with how it was progressing. Partner, me and him were like holding hands and were just so happy. And then came to the 12-week scans to 3 months, and they did the scan and basically just said, I'm really sorry, there's no heartbeat. They first of all did the tummy scan and they said, the baby's not big enough to see on that scan, so we'll have to do an internal. So they did that, and they were the baby was like lying on its side almost, and I was like looking up at the screen but backwards because I was on my back, and something just didn't feel right, and they were really silent in the room, so I thought there's just something that's just not right. So they said, yeah, I'm really sorry, there's no heartbeat. That was on the 17th of January, so literally just over a month ago. And I said, and I was just in complete denial. I just said, oh, sorry, can you get someone else to come and check? Just didn't want to, not that I didn't want to believe it. I just said, but I had a scan a couple of weeks ago and it was fine. What do you mean? And they said that it was a miscarriage. So it's just a miscarriage that you haven't known about yet. Because some women bleed before and then they realise I hadn't bled since that December period. And you walk out of there and get put into like this family room with a sofa in it and get given water, and they were so amazing though. They talked to you about the process of your next steps, and you've literally just been told that you haven't got a baby anymore, and then you don't have to decide there and then, but you get given choices, which is either to let your body do whatever it wants naturally. So naturally comes, you pass the baby. You have to take tablets, which basically induce you.
It, yeah.
And then, or surgery, which is a DNC, which is like a little vacuum that make sure everything's neat and tidy and everything's gone. So my baby died at 9 weeks, but the scan was on the 12th week. So if you bear in mind, that's 3 weeks that the baby had passed away. So then they were worried about infection and stuff like that. So I actually started to bleed the next day, which I chose the natural route. I just thought, I don't actually know what to expect, but I know I don't want the tablets, and I've never actually had an operation, so I don't know what.
It's scary.
I don't know what the general anaesthetic will do to me or feel or whatever. So I went down the natural route and started off as just spotting, and then full blown labour is what I can describe it as. I've never been in labour, and it's probably not as bad as, but I've never felt pain like it.
Oh, really?
And I just wasn't prepared. Like, if I knew all of this before I got pregnant, it would have helped me on this journey. But I don't think women know what to expect. I naively just thought, oh, okay, I've lost the baby, I'll just have a period and then everything will be fine. It's not like your body's going to be contracting from under your boobs downwards. So I actually called my partner works shifts, so he wasn't there at the worst of it, but I called my mum in the middle of the night and I said, I'm on the toilet, I don't actually know what to do. I'm bleeding quite heavily, and because you have to pass the placenta and the waters technically break, and so my mum came and I was on the toilet like leaning over the sink, and it was every 10 minutes at this point my contractions would start. It was just, I don't actually know how I got through it. It's the only way I can kind of say that. But obviously hot water bottles, medicine, and then in the end she just said, I'm not happy with how you're progressing. So my mum, we wanted to go to the hospital anyway, but she wasn't comfortable in taking me in the car like I was. And I couldn't imagine getting from A to B without needing to change my pad, or, do you know what I mean? There's just practical things that I just thought, how am I going to get to the hospital? So she called an ambulance, which was literally only a month ago, if I think about it. And the wait time was horrific, but it's almost like I'd gone past, it's almost like a 24 to 48 hour period of hell. And then it went. So I thought in my head, okay, great, I probably passed all of it and that's the worst over and done with. So I think what they wanted to check was that if everything was out, basically. So they did a scan on me, and I had like the trauma shakes where like your body's gone through trauma. So I was like, And when you're shaking, you're not relaxing. So they found it quite hard to do the internal.
Right.
But they basically said that all my lining was almost clear with no clotting or anything. But there was still some clotting and blood at the bottom of my cervix. And I thought, oh my gosh, no, that means I've got to have surgery then to remove the rest. And they just said, oh no, that's fine, we'll just do it manually. I went, what do you mean manually?
What?
So they just got like when you have a smear test, you have that spatulum. Is that what it's called? And they just got a little scrape. Sorry, this is a bit
No, go on.
but they just got a little spatula and just scooped all the lining out manually, because they said, we can't take you into surgery because you now have a womb infection. Because obviously the baby had been there for so long. So it didn't hurt actually. At this point, I'd gone through the worst pain anyway. But she said, I'll just do everything manually so that your body doesn't... Because she said, if I leave that there, your body will still try and contract everything out. So it's best just to get everything out, and then, your womb can start repairing itself naturally. So I then, she said, but I am sorry to tell you, you will have to stay overnight in hospital because you have an infection. So I went through the antibiotics through my arm.
IV, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I cannot fault the NHS, to be honest with you. I had my own little room, biscuits, tea, just everything that you could possibly wish for when you've gone through something so horrific. And I was in like this little bubble of the nurses cooing over me, and just everyone knew what I was going through in there. So I just felt safe, secure, and in the best place possible. And when I walked out the next day into this big, wide world of how I felt, just emptiness, I just thought, I've just been in hospital and no one knows what I've got. I've just lost a baby.
Yeah.
And you walk out of there and you just think, what? What do I do now? Like, I've lost my whole purpose. I've lost my... In July, I was meant to have a baby. And you just think to yourself, well, what do I do now without that? And this overwhelming sense of guilt comes over you as a woman. Sorry, I'm getting emotional now.
That's okay, take your time.
But this guilt of, you should have carried that baby properly, or could I have slept in a different position? Could I have eaten better? Could I have not had sex during pregnancy? Because that's a really big question. You think, oh, if I didn't have sex, maybe... Oh, do you know what I mean? There's just so many things that as a woman you just think, my body's completely and utterly failed me. And then you get angry. Obviously, again, all stages of grief. All stages of grief. And my partner grieved in a very different way.
Okay.
So he chucked himself into work, quite wanting to be busy. But for me, I had 2 weeks off of work. But for me, it was 1 week of the physical side. And then I only had really a week to kind of think, okay, well, I've gone through all of that, because it's quite scary. You don't know what's going to happen. So you're anxious about that, and you haven't really started grieving yet. So you go through the physical side, and then you have literally a week to kind of process what's happened. And that was the week where I really just didn't know who I was, what my purpose was anymore. There's so many amazing charities for miscarriages, that you just want to flood yourself around women that have gone through the same thing. Yeah. My friends, my close friends haven't been through a miscarriage, so I didn't really feel... People don't know what to say. Yeah, because I remember reading in part of your story that you said people were saying things like, oh, it's okay, you're still young. Yeah. You still have time for another one. You can try again. Yeah. Don't worry, it will happen again. Yeah. It's like, will it? Will it actually happen again? And, I think because we tried for so long, it's also like the kick in the teeth of, okay, well, is it going to take me another 3 years now? Would you want to get pregnant again at this point, though? Like,
straight away, or
Yeah, so my coping mechanism was I just want a baby.
right?
But equally, when my partner's got a tremendous amount of hope for us, and he's like, I know we're gonna have children.
Yeah.
I know we will, so don't worry. Like he just like deep down he knows,
Yeah.
and I know as well. But it's I can't get to that stage of hope yet. But equally, I would love to fall pregnant again. Not, but there's also a part of me where he's tried to move me on, just in a hopeful way of like, oh, don't worry, like we'll try again and we'll have fun and we'll just appreciate each other again. And I've said to him, I just want this baby. Like, I don't want another baby that's going to come. I just want this one. And there's a lot of people that try and move you on before you're ready. And actually the hard bit is that you look at everyone else being pregnant, like all my social media, all the algorithm is pregnancy, all the algorithm is prams and cots that we were looking at. I went to IKEA to try and buy furniture, and you just think, or you just end up being really jealous of other people. I had a friend who was pregnant at the same time as me, actually, and we were literally the same week. Right. And she's just found out that she's had a little baby girl, and it's really hard. I'm so happy for her, and I'm so like absolutely ecstatic for her. But I wanted a little girl, and that's what my journey may have been. But it's just frustrating that the NHS don't look into anything for you health-wise unless you've had about 2 or 3 miscarriages.
Oh, I see.
I think the law might have changed recently, actually, to say that you can kind of push for that a little bit more if you've had 2. But there's 1 in 4 women that go through this, which is a hell of...
It's quite a lot.
It's a lot.
I mean, it is a lot.
It's very, extremely. But even the nurses were like, it's so common, it's so common. It's like, I don't care.
That doesn't make you feel
I don't
better,
care.
though. Like,
I just want my baby back.
Yeah.
And nothing people say will bring it back. And that's, I didn't know if it was a boy or a girl. Could I carry boys? Could I not carry boys or girls? You just have so many questions.
Yeah. Why?
What could potentially happen in my future that I didn't need to have that baby there? Like my mum was like, you never know, you could be like 5 years time, you could be having a career change. I said, I don't care. I could have done that with a baby.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of anger. And I think I'm at my point in grief where I'm just confused. I'm on my period now, and it's my first period after the miscarriage, and I swear to you, I'm literally bleeding through the pads every hour. It's just a totally different period type. But it's just amazing what the body goes through. That's all I can say. Is International Women's Day yesterday, I was like, I was a mum for 3 months, and I can't believe what women's bodies go through. And I will be sharing about my miscarriage online, because I just feel that it's so, again, taboo. Especially infertility and pregnancy loss, stillborns. There's a lot that people go through. And when I've gone through it, the people that have reached out to me, I went through that. Yeah, I've been through it 4 times. It's like, I never would have known that.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping and praying that God will guide me in a way that this is my journey will be for others. I don't know what that will look like. I don't know what that will hold. But we'll soon see.
Yeah, because I saw you in person, like, I think it was after the first week that you had annual leave. Yeah. And I think you had a week to go. Yeah. And I remember just looking at you and thinking, oh my God, like, how is she here? Like, how is she just sitting there, like, having a normal conversation? Because I would be... I would be on the floor.
I was.
Yeah.
I was.
And I just don't know how, like, women go through that and just, I mean, you get up because you have to, right? But I just thought the strength and resilience in you just must be immense, because I don't know how I would do that.
I guess you call it strength, but I see myself in the low times. So, I mean, literally Saturday, I was on the floor, like praying, like,
Yeah.
what the hell is going on? And don't get me wrong, my journey causes me to have, really low points, but I have this want to help others to get me through it.
Yeah.
So I am a strong person, I will agree with you, but there's also a part of me where I'm like the caller that calls me at Samaritans. I'm the woman, like my client that I've got in my business, like I'm her, I was her. But I have this way of just wanting to develop myself so much that it just helps me get through the season.
Yeah.
Gets through the storm, and that's the only way I can look at it.
Yeah. And that brings me on to like what you're doing now. So you were launching before, like whilst you were pregnant, you launched Anchor of Life.
Yeah.
What is Anchor of Life, firstly?
Anchor of Life is my little pride and joy. Again, obviously just putting all the puzzle pieces together of what my story is and just wanting to talk about mental health. And there was a part in my journey where I just kept putting quotes up. I kept speaking to the camera. I just had this urge to constantly encourage people, and that's my gift. God gave me the gift of encouragement, and I just felt the need to start a business around that. I want to attract the women that are empathetic, are lovers, are warm, and just want to grow, want to heal. And I would love nothing more than to start a community around that. I've self-soothed myself for a long time, and that there's so many tools that you could have to help you grow, but there's women that are struggling on their own, and I don't want that, because I've been there, I've done that, and now I want to be helping the women that I've that have had the journey potentially that I have, and if not, that's totally fine. They have their own journey, but I just want to call in the people that don't put themselves first, or just that have a huge heart, like me.
So at the moment, it's like a group, right? How does it work? Like, what exactly is it at the moment? Because it's still quite new, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And, there's weeks where I think, oh, I could go in that direction, or I could go in this direction. But ultimately, it will be workshops online. I'll be hosting my first event soon, in spring into summer, about confidence. So there'll be pockets of healing, journaling, meditations, spirituality, whatever you believe in is welcome. The main focus is that you've got a space to be safe in, and a space where you can tell all your worries to us, and we'll be there to listen. I really do feel the calling of not teaching people but guiding people through how to hold space,
because I think it's so important,
because of what we've just spoken about, of people don't know how to, people don't know it, they find it awkward. So why not someone that's had training and lived a life sometimes of hell and beauty, and put that both together and channel it with women. And I love women. I love it because we get deeper than men. And I started off the Anchor of Life page, and I thought, I want to attract everyone. I want to help everyone. Let's just come into my circle and I'll help you. But it doesn't work like that. I wanted to help men. I wanted to help women of 50. I wanted to help babies. I want like everything. But ultimately, who do I connect with more? Is women. Who do I love to chat to for hours on end? Women. So naturally my friendships are women, so that's what I've been called to do.
I love that. Do you think you'll have one that's specifically for miscarriage and like baby
I would love
loss?
to.
Yeah,
I would love to.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to be posting about it soon. I just needed to process my own thoughts around it, or what journey I wanted to kind of lead with. But yeah, ultimately that will be, I think that's my purpose now, is around empathy and lovers, but also the women that have had to go through this story.
Yeah. I love this for you as well. Like, I know that you're going to be amazing at it.
Thank you.
You're already doing it. You've been doing it. So yeah, I'm really excited for you.
first step is coming, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm really excited for you.
Thank you.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish the interview with something I've just made up, which is called the Woman Up Wrap Up.
No way you're going to get me to rap.
No! As in wrap up the interview.
Oh my gosh, I was like, no, I'm going to walk out the door right now. Oh my goodness.
No, as in to wrap up the interview. So I'm going to ask all my guests the same 4 questions. So
Okay.
they're just designed to be like quick, simple answers. So don't feel like you have to go into like super detail. So what's one thing about you that has nothing to do with business or your brand, but plays a huge role in who you are today?
Bubbliness.
Mm.
Yeah. I feel like I'm a sunshine. I like to be someone's sunshine.
Yeah, I see that. Okay. Would you rather go back in time and give advice to your younger self or meet your future self and hear what she has to say?
Younger self. There's a lot of healing that's still got to be had. So definitely younger
I really want to go back and talk to her, but
it's hard. It's really tough.
Yeah. Okay. If we had this conversation a year from now, what is one thing that you hope to have achieved by then? So you can look back on this podcast episode a year from now and see if you've achieved it.
Something, like one thing.
Just one thing.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to say the first thing that's popped up in my head, and that's to have a baby.
Okay.
And that could be one way or another, but that's my goal.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have my fingers crossed for you.
Thank you.
And then the last one is, if you had to describe this season of your life as either a song, a book title, or a movie, what would it be?
I'm not a film watcher. That's a really hard one because I feel a different emotion every day. I actually don't know.
Is there a song that you listen to or that you've been listening to that like helps you through this time? Because you're a dancer, so I'm guessing you listen to music a lot.
I just listen to my Christian music if I'm sad.
Okay.
I just need to feel God around me because he leads me into the right place.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a song called Oceans, I think, by I believe it's Maverick City.
Okay.
And yeah, it's a really good Christian song that's getting me through. It's basically explaining that you go through all the seasons, all the weather, and you're going to get out the other side, basically.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. Thank you so much for coming. This has been such a good episode.
I'm so honoured.
I feel like we've run over, but I don't care. Like
I'm so
there
sorry.
There were so many things that we covered. And I'm just
clap
really
to you
happy
for what you're doing, by the way, as well. It's amazing.
Thank you.
So amazing.
Well, now I have to look into the Samaritans volunteering. So
yeah, you got another job, girl.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Okay, guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all the things because it helps us push the podcast out. Write a comment. If you're listening on a podcast platform, write a review. Like all of these really, really help us. And I'm also going to put Emily's details in the description. So if you want to follow her, if you want to reach out to her, if you've related to anything in her story, please reach out to her because she is open to her. Your DMs are open, right? Yeah.
100%, yeah.
And I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Bye.
See you later.
Okay, that's it for another episode of the Woman Up podcast. Thank you for spending time with us. It really means the world. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please take a second to follow the show and leave us a review. It really helps more women to find these conversations. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And also leave us a comment if anything in the episode resonated with you. We love to hear from you. Even better still, feel free to share this episode and tag us on your socials. Of course, I will see you right here next week for more real talk, sisterhood, and conversations that actually matter. Until then, keep going, keep growing, and woman up.